eXtremeRate reached out to me asking if I wanted to check out their dock. I said yes because I really don't like this thing and I want to get rid of it. Let's take a closer look at their dock. eXtremeRate sent over two. I'm thinking I'm probably going to use this simple black one, but they also sent over the Legend of Zelda one as well. I think both of these look fantastic, and for the price, this might be the way to go. As mentioned, these were both sent over by eXtremeRate. They of course are not paying me for this review. All opinions are my own, and they're not seeing this review beforehand. I'm going to give you guys my honest thoughts to what I think about their product. So are these eXtremeRate docks for the Nintendo Switch worth it? Let's hop in and take a closer look. The one I'm looking at today is under their shop. We're looking at the Nintendo Switch upgraded kits. If we click on that, this is their dock, and they're currently on sale for as cheap as $20 US. It's not bad. So the one I have is the black one. I also have the glow in the dark Legend of Zelda one. I'll probably install the Legend of Zelda one in this review video, but I also might check out the black one. This is a complete shell swap on your OLED dock. This will come with all the parts and all the screws needed to move it over, and as well as all the tools you're going to need. This has two USB ports on the side, a nice decorative front, and plenty of air around your Nintendo Switch to let the device cool off a little more. And as you can see, this is much smaller than the original dock. I've never taken apart one of the docks before, so this might be an interesting video. They also have two plate covers, so you can use this on the original Switch or the OLED. I only have the OLED, so that's the one I'm going to use. It also has some rubber grips on the bottom to stop it from sliding around on your desk. So let's open this up and just see how hard a project this is. Let's open the kit and see what it comes with. In the box, we have the dock itself. You're going to have all the tools and screws you're going to need. We have some rubber feet for the bottom of the stand. It also includes a couple springs. The last thing in the box is the PCB. I believe this is the PCB we're going to need to move the USB ports around. This also comes in a nice anti-static bag to protect it. We get all the parts here and a little user manual. I'll try to make this a tutorial just so you guys can see how to install this. Let's give it a try. Let's just take a peek at the dock and see what it looks like. That looks pretty cool. So it looks like it comes in a few pieces. This is the top. The outer shell is really soft plastic. Not soft as in kind of like a weak plastic, but it's just a very smooth plastic. I do like the design though. Okay, so we have the top of the dock itself. Let's set that aside. We have the two back plates. I'm not sure which one I'm going to need because it doesn't tell me which is which. There's another plate here. It looks like this one goes on the top. This is where the Switch is going to dock into. I believe this is the actual docking piece that it kind of sits in. So these are the little parts that go into the Switch. So we'll set that aside. I have no idea what this is for though, so let's just set this aside. And this is the bottom. So we have all the parts that we're going to need to assemble it. Next up, we have to disassemble the old dock. Let's set this aside for now. Okay, so the first thing you want to do on your old dock is to remove the back plate. The PCB that we need is going to be under here. I don't know if we're going to need anything else, but let's start by getting this out first. If you need a nice cheap toolkit, I'll leave this one linked in the description below, but I've been using this for quite a while and this was definitely worth the $10 that I spent on it. These are tri-wing screws, so you're going to need a tri-wing screwdriver. This kit does come with some. You can also just use the ones that eXtremeRate sends over. I believe it's this mid-size here. So let's take out these 4 screws. So there's only 3 screws actually, sorry about that. There's one there, and one there. I have those out, but I don't think I can take this out yet. Doesn't look like it can. There's a lot of dust. Really shows how much I use my dock on my Switch. There's also one on the bottom. Not really sure if I have to take this out, but let's just take it out anyways. When in doubt, just remove all the screws. We do still have a few screws on the back as well, so let's go ahead and take those out next. So we've taken the 3 out on the little USB hub area here. We've got one there, one there, one there, and one there. We do have to get this plastic piece off next. I'm going to use their tool just to see how well it works. Stick it underneath the bottom part here and just lift up and it should come right off. Set that aside in case you need it for later. Underneath there we have one tri-wing screw and we should be able to use the same bit we've been using. And with that, the back plate should come right off. Now we can see the board that we need to get out. We can also go ahead and pull off the bottom now, and this should just come right off. At least I hope it should. Oh yeah, there it goes. There's a small ribbon cable here we have to remove next, and don't be afraid by these ribbon cables, they're actually pretty easy to remove. Moving a little closer, you can see exactly how to remove this. Use the small plastic pry tool that they sent, and just lift up this little latch here. Now the ribbon cable should be able to slide right out. You can just use your finger. You almost have to lift this up and then pull it out to get that out. I think that was the last thing holding this board in place, so there are some clips here, so pull these back and slide it out. There's also a small connector on the bottom. You have to unplug this. You're gonna see a small lip on the sides. Use your fingernails and just pull from both. You don't want to pull from the cable because you will rip this out. There's the board that was in your dock. Now we got that, we can go ahead and install this into the new dock. I stand corrected, we also need to get this out of the frame. There's 4 screws holding that in place, so let's go ahead and take those out next. These 4 screws are a star or a Phillips screw, so we're gonna have to swap that. I got one in my kit, but you can also just use the one they sent. There's a small plastic piece, this should just lift right up. And there you go. That has the housing and the ribbon cable itself. Let's just set this aside for now. There's the other springs that it came with. Remove the piece of dust paper from this. Should be able to slide right up. Mine got stuck on there though. There we go. Underneath that, you're gonna find 2 screws that you need to take out. Let's just go ahead and take those 2 screws out. Again, to remove this ribbon cable is pretty easy. Just use their tool, lift up this little lock, and then lift the ribbon cable straight out. There you go. Now we got the ribbon cable out, and we also have the small connector. We need to get the bottom out next, and we can go ahead and place the motherboard into place. There are 2 screws up in the top corner, so use those to line up where it's supposed to go. The motherboard in my Switch OLED looks like this, and it's just supposed to sit in there like that. Now we just have to get the Phillips screws installed. As with any custom kit, I do recommend using their screws for their products. So let's go ahead and put those screws in. These only need to go in wrist tight. You don't want to crack the plastic. If you forgot to put the ribbon cable in like I did, you're going to have to take this out to put it back in. The ribbon cable is pretty easy to plug in. All you have to do is just push it into place, then lock down this little latch. Once you lock that latch down, fold it over, and we should be good to go. Now we can put it back into the dock. You're gonna need this PCB for the Switch OLED, and you're gonna need their ribbon cable. To attach their ribbon cable, make sure that the pins on the ribbon cable are facing down. Once they're facing down, and once it's slid into place, just push that lock down like so. Nice. These USBs are gonna slot into the board's USBs, so just go ahead and push them into place. There you go. And the ribbon cable can just go down like this. Be careful when you're folding these. You don't want to put too many creases in them. They do send an extra one though, so that's always nice. Next, you're going to want this little tiny piece in the center from the original Switch dock. So look for the little flap that's on this side first. This is the side you're going to lift from. Lift this forward, and instead of pushing this down out the back, you want to push it out the front because it's more open. Pull out the spring, and we don't need this because we're going to use theirs. But this is the little piece that we're going to need from the original kit. So take their black piece and the little piece that we pulled off the original kit and just drop that into place. You'll know you put it in the right way because it'll go all the way through. Next, just flip that over and it'll look something like this. And that's going to screw right onto this plug. We want these small Phillips screws, so grab 2 of those and put them on each side of the USB plug. I don't know if it was just my plastic, but those screws seem to break my USB plug. To avoid this, you want to use the original Nintendo Switch screws. Remember which ones you used? They're the small Phillips screws. Fortunately, it looks like it only broke off a very small amount of plastic. There's nothing electronical that was broken off there. So this should still work. I'm going to tighten these down, and that looks fine. There we go. We need to put the spring in next, so grab the bigger spring in their kit, push that in, and then squeeze that down and flip it over. You might have to use the pry tool to get this flipped over. Once it's in there, it should look like this. There should be a little bit of amount of wobble to it, so the switch can move when you dock it. Lay the cable like so. We're having a 90-degree angle there, and then flipping over the other end just to put this into place. Make sure before you put this into place that you lift up the lock, and then just put the ribbon cable in and lock it into place like that. Nice. For this black part here, once you push it down, you have to use their screws to put it in. There's 4 black Phillips screws that they included in the kit, and it should sit there like that. This is where the switch is going to dock, just at the front. You want to make sure that these are tight, but you don't want to put too tight so it breaks the plastic like I did. We have to get this little cable out of the original shell now. So there's some screws here at the bottom. Let's go ahead and take those out. Now this shell should come off pretty easy. I think we just push this out. Yep. And then push down at the top, out on the sides. There we go. So just pull it apart and then lift that side out. Looks like there's 2 more screws holding that in. So let's take those out. So I managed to get out the little thing without pulling this other black piece off. After sticking my fingers under there, I just kind of weaved the cable through and then just slid it right out. And there's the cable. That tiny cable just sits in here. I just push that into place. So it sits in here like this. You would slot it down into this top part, and you make sure that the solder pieces face the inside, so the wires are facing out. There's a little slot here showing the angle it's supposed to sit on, and then I kind of just weaved the cable underneath the USB connector here. I don't know, I think that's good enough for me. We can go ahead and put the dust cover down. Make sure to put the glossy side down. This is just going to stop a lot of the dust from entering around the USB area. There we go. Now we're pretty much done at this point, but we do still have to put this little USB connector inside here on the back of the shell. It should sit right on this corner, and there's 3 screws to put it in. Go ahead and put those in now. We're looking for the silver Phillips screws that came in the kit. With the middle one in first, you can kind of rock it back and forth to line these other 2 up if you don't put it down the entire way. We're going to need the bag of miscellaneous rubber pieces. You're going to need this clear piece of plastic for the back plate. This is kind of hard to see. I put this little rubber piece over top of this plastic one, but it just sits in the corner there like that. At this point, it's basically together. All we have to do is just put the shell on. So flip this upside down, then take this little ribbon cable and plug it into the USB board down here. Remember to flip up the ribbon cable lock before sticking this into place. It should look something like this once you've connected it. Then just flip it over and put it into place. If it's not closing, you likely did what I did. I put this small little piece against the actual side, but there is one little hole that sticks out ever so slightly from the edge. This means there's a little gap down here on the side for the other parts to go into. Now it should close up pretty easy. So let's try closing it up now. Oh yeah, that's much easier. That actually looks really nice so far. All the USBs are lined up, and the design is pretty cool too. Grab the 2 springs that came in the kit and put those on these 2 little posts. You have to put the springs on first, then you have to line up the springs onto these 2 posts. Once you get that on, grab this part that goes over top. This part is a little finicky. Once you get it lined up, you have to push this part down. Unfortunately, pushing this down, I damaged here and here as well. I feel like that was much harder to put it on than I thought it was going to be. It's in there though. You can't see the damage over here where I kind of nicked the edge. Closes up nice on the top. Now we just have to put the back plate on. Find the one for the switch OLED, line it up, start on the bottom, and hinge it down. There you go. All in all, it's not bad. The build quality is good. eXtremeRate products always are. It did take a little while to build. That took me about an hour and a half. I do like the small footprint though. This is extremely portable compared to the original dock. And the switch fits in there really nice too. There's a little bit of wobble, but I mean there was on the original dock anyways too. There's a lot of space around the sides. This looks so much nicer, you guys. Wow. This is something that I've wanted for a long time. This just takes up so much less space. So for me, do I think this was worth it? I absolutely do. I'm still going to have to put these little feet on the bottom, but all in all, I do think it's worth it, especially if you use your Switch a lot and you want the dock to take up less space. For me anyways, this just helps shrink the Switch's footprint on my TV stand. I love this black and gold accent, and I think it's a cool product. What do you guys think about the new dock from eXtremeRate for the Switch OLED? Do you think it's worth it for you? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to check out the link in the description below if you're interested in picking one of these up. If you have any questions regarding the dock, make sure to ask in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, and as always, thanks for watching.